So I arrived at Liverpool station and got a quick bite to eat before walking to my hostel, which was actually really well placed right at Albert Dock, which was not too far from the train station and super central. And I paid £5 for this hostel for the night, which is crazy. £5. And the room was okay. The girl in the room was a little bit weird, but that's okay. And yeah, I'll give you a little tour of the room a little bit later. Okay, so the other girl who was here left for the day, so I can show you the room now. And it's pretty basic, all things considered, but it's honestly really nice. Like super clean. Hi. I have like a little closet space. Let me show you the bathroom. It's pretty modern. And this one is the shower. Also like really clean and modern. It looks like it was just renovated. So that's nice. When I tell you though, I had not the worst night, but not a very good night's sleep. It's true, because even though it's a nice hostel, like hostel sleeping is never, I don't know, that good. So basically the girl, when I first came in, she was rehearsing a presentation, because apparently she had a presentation today for something, I don't know. And she was like rehearsing and she tried to be quiet, but I was like, oh, like it's fine, no worries. And she was like, oh, are you sure like I can go downstairs, which I thought was really nice. But it was like 10:30 p.m. and I was like, it's okay, like I'm not gonna sleep for another half an hour. And she was like, no, I need to practice like for 4 more hours, or at least the whole night. At least 4 more hours or the whole night. And I was like, oh, okay, 4 hours. Ah. And she's like, yeah, no, 4 hours. And I was like, okay, well, yeah, I mean, in that case, like, maybe it's best if you go downstairs. I mean, I'm gonna be sleeping soonish. And she's like, yeah, okay, I'll just finish a thing now and then I'll go down. And then she ended up falling asleep for a bit, and she woke up at 2 a.m. And I don't know if she's trying to be quiet or not, but obviously it's this, like, an open room, so impossible. So she woke up at like 2 a.m. and then she went downstairs. Then I think she came back at like 6 a.m, 5 a.m, something like that. And then she woke me up again at 7:30 when she fully like threw the blinds open. And like apparently 7 a.m. in her mind I should be up, so threw the curtains open, no longer trying to be quiet, just went for it. So that was great, but other than that it was okay. Oh no, wait. And I don't know if it was her, but she turned the heating all the way up, so it was like 35 degrees in the room, and I was sleeping on the top bunk, and so obviously like heat rises, and I swear it felt like I was in a sauna. It was so hot, I could not sleep. So when she left at 2 a.m, I came down to check the heater. Sure enough, it was set at 30 degrees. And so I like turned it all the way down because I was like, nah, this is nah. And so then it started to get better. But also the windows didn't open, so it took a while to get better. So all in all, I might be tired today, but yeah, at least it's clean and felt safe and everything, so that's all you can ask for. So after my not so great sleep, I decided I needed a big breakfast to wake me up. So I decided to walk around the docks and see what restaurants there were, if there are any on the water. And indeed I did find one and had a big breakfast, which you'll see in a bit. But first I passed this Beatles exhibition, which I wanted to go to, but the tickets were honestly quite expensive. And this really nice view. So after my really nice breakfast next to the water and in the sun, I got cold and decided to go to the museum, which gave a little bit of history about Liverpool as a dock city, and you can pause at any point to read some interesting things that I saw. The museum was actually really well curated. I thought it was very engaging, and they had a lot of different artifacts and replicas that were fully life-sized, like an old metro train that you'll see in a bit, and the train. And it also had a history of Liverpool as well. The museum also had this really nice area where it highlighted all the famous people who have come from Liverpool, which, as Liverpool is actually quite a creative city, was a lot of people. There were a lot of actors, musicians for sure, and yeah, apparently there had been a lot of films that were filmed in Liverpool as well, because some backdrops work really well in films as olden days London or other places in the UK. So here are a few films that I thought were interesting that were filmed. After the museum, I had decided to walk around a little bit and see the shopping centre / main strips, high streets, and then I stopped at a chai place to get some chai, which you'll see in a minute, and stopped at some churches, which were really cool. There was one church that had been bombed in World War II, so the entire insides had been removed and it was only the skeleton of the church. And you did have to pay to go in, which was a bit unfortunate, but it was nice enough to see from the outside because it was actually really nice. The vibe was super eerie and haunted almost, but it's really a living piece of history. On my way to a different cathedral, I walked past Chinatown, and I was really interested to learn that Liverpool actually has a larger Chinese community than London does, or larger Asian community. Because it's a port city, a lot of immigrants came and ended up settling there. This is Liverpool Cathedral. It is the biggest cathedral in Britain, which I thought was absolutely crazy. It was pretty huge, but it was really interesting because it had been finished quite recently, all things considered, and I mean, considering other churches and cathedrals were made often years and years ago, this one was finished quite recently, and you can see sort of in the architecture and especially the art being displayed that it definitely leans contemporary, which I thought was really interesting. This was the Lady Chapel, which was the first wing to be built, so it was the oldest part of the cathedral, and you can see influences of, you know, other eras, which are a little bit less contemporary than the rest of the cathedral, which is really cool to see. It was quite ornate, a little bit gothic, I want to say, but yeah, it was, as you can see here, celebrating women and all the saints who were women and Mary, and I thought that was also quite progressive for a church or a cathedral. This is a model of the original cathedral, which was submitted by the architect, but in the end they ended up going with only one of the two towers and getting rid of some of the middle part as well, I believe. I just thought this was fascinating to see. It's such a modern rendition of Christ on the cross, because usually everything is quite traditional and this was definitely not that. After the cathedral, I decided to walk around the Georgian Quarter to see all the lovely Georgian houses, and it was indeed really nice. And then I went to this market, which is called the Baltic Market, and it was also more of an area that actually reminded me a little bit of Mount Pleasant, I want to say, just because there were a lot of different little breweries, little artist studios, a lot of murals, as you can see here, and yeah, it was just like a lot of artistic life. Finally, after a lot of walking, I decided to go back to the hostel. I had to charge my phone and waited a long time before deciding to grab dinner and catching my train. So this was a crazy story because they decided to cancel my original train, and this is me freaking out because she told me to grab a train that left in 2 minutes, the ticket agent. So I ended up on a random train and had to switch 2 more times in order to get to Edinburgh. But yeah, here are some train things, and there was also a crazy woman on my train, which I'm listening to here, who was like walking up and down the train. Yeah, so as I mentioned, crazy time, they cancelled my train, and I went to the ticket agent and she said that there's another train leaving in 2 minutes to go back to, I can't remember where it is, I think it was Manchester. So it was going back to Manchester and then from Manchester to Edinburgh. And I was like, okay, but it leaves in 2 minutes, like you expect me to get that? And she literally looked me dead in the eye and she was like, yeah, run. And so I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna run. So I ran, of course I got to the platform, no way in hell I was making that train in 2 minutes. It was gone. And so I was like in a panic, whatever. The gate agent, because I had to go back out and my ticket wouldn't let me out because I had just gone in, and so he was like, oh, just take this other train that's leaving in another 2 minutes, change at this random place in the middle of nowhere. I don't know where it was, I can't remember the name, it was a tiny town, and then take another train and then switch a third time to get to Edinburgh. So that was crazy. And whoever that ticket agent was, I have beef with her, because how are you gonna tell me to catch a train leaving, like, it was literally like 58 and it was leaving at 6:60, like, impossible. But anyways, we made it to Edinburgh. That was it. I had a great time in Edinburgh. I didn't vlog because I'm just trying to have a good time, enjoy my time, and I had been to Edinburgh before, so obviously you don't need to know what it looks like. But yeah, had a great time there, and I'll insert a little clip of me rock climbing because that was funny. I failed. And then yeah, on to York. I took an early train from Edinburgh that morning and arrived in York. It was a really beautiful sunny day, but I was quite hungry, so I had seen online this viral little sandwich thing that looked really good, and it looked very British. So it was a Yorkshire pudding wrap, and they had a vegetarian version, so I had to stop and get one, and it was honestly really good. It looks weird, but it was good. It tasted a little bit like Christmas because they put gravy and some sort of stuffing and cranberry sauce in it, so yeah, a little bit Christmassy, but overall really nice. And then I just walked around the town. I honestly loved York so much. It was so beautiful. The houses were so different, or the storefronts, and it really, I mean, they say it's the home of Diagon Alley, so it really was like that. And this house that I'm showing now is quite interesting because apparently during the plague, the Great Plague, there was a family that lived there, like a family of 5, and they locked the family in that place to die. So that was not fun, but yeah, the rest of the town was really lovely, and the cathedral was also massive on the outside, but I didn't have a chance to go inside. The Shambles is a street/area that was hypothetically modeled, or the real life model for Diagon Alley in Harry Potter, of course, and you really could see the likeness. It was full of just tiny crowded shops, and they really leaned into the whole aesthetic for tourists, I suppose. So it was quite fun with a lot of potion shops, and yeah, you can see cauldrons, and they had some butterbeer there as well, so it really was a Harry Potter thing, which was really fun to see. And then it was so hot out that I decided to get an ice cream because I had been walking around a lot, and yeah, I was just so ready for summer. So got an ice cream and headed to the castle walls because York used to be a fortress, so they have walls surrounding the entire city and you can walk along them. But before that I had to use the bathroom, so I found this cute little bar with a backyard, so I sat there for a sec and continued my journey walking around the walls. And it goes in a circle, so you can go all the way around York. So I started at one end and did sort of a semicircle around, ending back at the train station. Here I found this really lovely garden completely by accident, and I actually got a call, if you remember my earlier vlog, from, yes, you guessed it, Dior, and they offered me the job. So I was really excited, as you can see here, and that basically dictated the rest of the day, which luckily I had already seen everything I wanted to see and was just hanging out. But I spent some time in that park contemplating life and feeling very relieved and happy and enjoying the nice weather. And then I started walking around the castle walls again just to kill time before catching my train. that is the end of the UK tour vlogs. It was a great trip and I'm really glad I managed to do it and the schedule worked out, and overall nothing too bad happened. Honestly, it went pretty smoothly. And yeah, I got the Dior job during this entire trip, so slightly overshadowed, but no, overall really great trip. So thank you so much for watching. Love you all, miss you all, and see you all next time.